What's up, champions? Welcome back to JetSurf Nation, your place where we test and review different jetboards and efoils. Some of you actually know that a few years ago I decided to become an FPV drone pilot. So all the footage that I'm always recording on my channel is done actually by me. To do so, I had to learn how to become an FPV pilot from scratch. And I'll be honest with you, it's quite a difficult task. You have to devote a lot of time if you want to become a professional FPV pilot. It's much harder than controlling the usual cinematic drone like DJI Mavic. This is a completely different task. It's much harder, very challenging, and it takes a lot of time to learn. The first drone that I had was DJI FPV Drone. This guy that we got a few years ago. I made a full review on our channel how I got into FPV, my first steps, my mistakes, how I learned to fly using the goggles, using the simulator called Liftoff. So if you want to see how to get into FPV piloting and what you need to learn, make sure to check my old video where I described everything about this drone. As you can see, it's still here, still working, still flying. I never crashed it. I've been flying a lot. I completed over 100 flights over the last 2 years and I've never crashed this drone. I was flying really crazy, sometimes really low, risking a lot. Even I was filming big waves in Nazaré, but I still didn't crash this one. So if you devote a lot of time into learning, you can really do amazing things with this one. This is really a great drone. I hardly see any problems with it. After using so many years, I can only say good things about it. But the main problem is it's very heavy and it's very risky. There are no prop guards. You cannot fly inside. You cannot fly close to things, close to people. It can get quite dangerous. It's very fast, very noisy. So be very careful when you fly FPV drones like this. Now, when I saw DJI AVATA came out, I was very excited because it has prop guards. It's much smaller. You can fly inside the buildings, which is very cool, especially if you're getting into the FPV drones and you're making first steps on FPV market. Before we get into the pros and cons of the DJI AVATA, I need to be honest with you. It's not as good as it's advertised. There are a lot of paid reviews on the market from the drone channels where the middle-aged dude is reviewing all the drones, saying it's the game changer, it's one of the best on the market. But is it really? Let's dive deep into this. And before I tell you what I love about it and what I hate about it, I have to tell you a couple of important things that you need to do when you get the drone like this. Number one, I highly recommend to get Fly More package. These drones have very limited flight time. They advertise around 18 minutes, but actually are going to get maximum 10 minutes of flight time. So you need much more than just one battery. Get a system like this, it's called Fly More, which allows you to charge several batteries at the same time, plus they give you 2 extra batteries. And I highly recommend to have at least 4 batteries, so you have 40 minutes of flight time per session. Trust me, you're gonna need it. Once you get the drone, before trying to switch to the manual mode, so-called acro mode, make sure you spend at least 10 hours on the DJI simulator app or download the game called Liftoff, and there you can practice with your remote control. You can fly with the virtual drone. You can learn all the tricks, all the rolls, all the maneuvers without actually hitting anything. It's very important you do this first virtually before getting into the real flight. Devote this time if you want to become professional FPV pilot. It's really important. The extra things you can get is called ND filter. For example, ND filter from Freewheel. FPV drones, Cineloop drones, are made to fly very low, and if you have a lot of flight, it's important to have ND filter to make your footage very smooth and very cinematic. They're very cheap, you just attach them on your camera, it's very easy to use. What else is important to get? DJI AVATA is made for beginners, so they sell it with this motion controller. This is kind of okay if you're just learning, if you're a kid and you want to easily control it, but you're not going to become a professional FPV pilot using this kind of remote control. It's mostly done for complete beginners. You cannot use it in the manual mode. So I highly recommend to get a proper remote control, something like this. I think it's called Remote Control 2. This is a proper control that we had from the past season, and it's still compatible with the new DJI AVATA. Highly recommend to get this one instead of motion controller. The next thing, if you are not in United States, it's very important to unlock so-called FCC mode. FCC mode gives higher power output for your drone, which lets you have much better control when you fly around the obstacles, when you fly further away. If you don't unlock FCC mode, you'll really struggle to control the drone when you fly behind the wall, behind the rock, which can be really dangerous. I think it's very important to unlock it, to have more power, more control over the drone, especially drones like this. They fly really fast, and if you lose control, you can still brake, but it can get quite tricky. Make sure you watch some videos on YouTube that explain how to unlock FCC mode. It's quite easy for this drone. All you need to do is just to place a special file on the SD card that comes to your goggles, and it automatically unlocks FCC mode. It's must have for fast flying drones like this. Once you become comfortable flying FPV mode in your simulator, you can go to the new goggles and unlock the manual mode in the settings. Again, you can find everything in tutorials. I'm not gonna waste your time explaining it all over again. It's quite easy. And after you unlock the manual mode, you can fly fully manual, just like you fly the traditional DJI FPV mode. You can do all the tricks, all the rolls, all the spins, all the dives, everything you want you can do with this little guy, like with the original proper one. There is another cool trick that new DJI AVATA has. It's called turtle mode. With this drone you tend to risk more because you have prop guards, so you're gonna try to squeeze into the tight spaces, and sometimes you're gonna hit something and crash. I already hit the wires, I hit the trees, and your drone can fall off and flip over. Then you go to your goggles, you click turtle mode, and your drone will automatically flip over, and then it will be ready to fly again with no problem. Really cool stuff, and you need to know about this. Now, what I like about DJI AVATA and what I hate about it. Let's start with the good things. Obviously, it's much smaller, it's much lighter, it's only 410 grams, including the battery, which is really cool. It's very easy to transport. Look how much smaller it is compared to original DJI FPV. And this one has propellers. It takes a lot of time to install propellers, to get ready for the flight. Here, the propellers are always on. You just stick the battery in and it's basically ready to go in just few seconds. Very easy. You take it in your backpack, you go everywhere with you. It's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to fly. There is no risk for people because it has the prop guards, and even if you hit the wall, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to crash. It's made of plastic, so I think it's much safer drone. If you're getting into FPV, definitely get this one. It's much safer. Another safety feature this drone has, it has two sensors over here, but it doesn't have any top sensors or front sensors, so still be very careful how you fly it. It's basically a blind drone, so don't trust the sensors, trust your eyes. At the same time, it has another cool feature. is that you can launch by hand and you can catch it by hand. With DJI FPV it's very heavy, it has sharp propellers, so you're not gonna catch it by hand, you can cut your hands very easily. With this one, you just grab it and you flip it over and it automatically stops the propellers. Very easy to grab it. You don't need a launch pad, you just launch by hand, grab it by hand, put in a backpack, ready to go all the time. Very cool. Another advantage is this motion controller, which is made for complete beginners. Your kids can try it, your kids can learn it, it's very intuitive. You just point and follow the white dot on the screen. You follow, you control it by hand. You can do all the tricks except the manual mode.
Hi guys, my name is Melissa and I love this drone. It's drone DJI and it's perfect. It has the small controller for the beginners like me. I am 10 years old and I love it. Like I said, I have used it for some time and I think it's super portable and super easy to take with you. Explore the area around you. It's super cool. You should try it. It's so easy to control with the motion controller that even a kid like me can do it. It's so easy. You just need a point where the circle will be with your goggles. Then you just press, turn, and press the button for it to go. DJI AVATA is super cool drone for beginners, but also for professionals.
Once you become more professional, like I said, get the proper remote control. Despite its small size, this drone has a good camera. It's 4K, 60 FPV, and it has rock steady stabilization, making butter smooth videos when you fly it. Really good camera. Another advantage of this drone, like I said, you can fly indoors. You're not gonna fly indoors with this big heavy drone with open props, but with DJI AVATA it's quite safe. You can go through the rooms, you can film amazing shots of the real estate properties, of hotels, do amazing commercials. It's very easy to do with this drone. It has a lot of control and very safe to use indoors. Now, what I hate about DJI AVATA. There are a lot of problems about this drone and honestly I'm not very impressed. After all the experience that DJI had with the original drone, which I really loved, I would expect much better from this new version, but it's far from perfect. First of all, it's very slow. This drone is really fast. It can go up to 120 kilometers per hour. It goes super fast. You can do amazing fast tracking, very quick reactions. With this drone I wasn't impressed at all. I couldn't get any fast speeds even in the manual mode. It's quite slow, especially on a windy day. It's really struggling to get moving fast. It's going down quite slow as well. So very unimpressed with the speed. It's harder to track fast moving objects because it's slow to react, it's slow to catch the speed. It's hard to track with this little drone. It's mostly a toy, to be honest. If you're filming fast moving objects, this is not the drone you're going to pick. Another disadvantage is very poor flight time. As you can see, original one had much bigger battery, but it's also heavier. AVATA has very small battery, but to be honest, both of them have very poor riding time. Flying time. It's about 8 to 10 minutes of quality flying time. I know for FPV drones it's pretty good, but if you came from the cinematic drones like DJI Mavic that has over 20 minutes of flight time, you will be very disappointed getting just 8 to 10 minutes. So be ready for the poor flight time and get several batteries. Speaking of batteries, I was very disappointed with the charger. The original DJI FPV has this powerful charger which goes directly to electric output, but the new AVATA charger is very weak and it goes to USB-C, which takes forever to charge 3 batteries. You'll basically have to put them overnight. It's really slow charging. Another problem with DJI AVATA is the position of SD card. I saw a lot of bloggers were complaining about it. It has so much area, but out of all spaces where they could put the SD card slot, they put it in the most awkward position between the propellers over here. It's really hard to get SD card, it's hard to put it back. I hate it, and getting SD card, you need to do it actually after each flight to get your files. So this is really annoying, getting this SD card in and out. The final problem with this DJI AVATA is the lack of all the smart features. that you used to from drones like DJI Phantom, DJI Mavic and all of that. There is no active track, there is no drone, there is no any cinematic modes. I don't know why, to be honest. I am very disappointed. Especially for beginner drone, I don't know why they couldn't include all of these features here. I know DJI FPV didn't have them, but this was done like a professional fast FPV drone. So of course it's not done for the cinematic modes, but the beginner drone could already have it, especially 2 years after the release of original one. All of other cinematic drones have all these active tracks features. I don't know why this one doesn't have anything. That's quite disappointing. And finally, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the new goggles. I'm a big fan of the old goggles which came with the original DJI FPV, and by the way they're compatible. It's much bigger, it's more comfortable on the face, it has some sort of fan which prevents the fogging. I don't have any light leaks with this one. The new goggles have some cool features such as retractable antennas, the lens cover and the lens adjustment. You can adjust the focus, the distance, so you don't need to wear the glasses when you use these goggles. But they're much smaller, they feel very tight, it's harder to breathe. They get foggy very quickly for me, especially in the hot weather. The screen is very bright and it's harder to see things that are on the sides of the screen. I also dislike this touch sensor to move things in the menu. It's very awkward to control. I hate it. The bottom line, DJI AVATA is a great beginner-friendly drone for people who want to get into FPV safely, who want to fly indoors, who want to teach their kids. This is a drone for you. But if you're already progressing, if you already know how to fly FPV, I definitely would still recommend a good old DJI FPV drone, which is much faster, much more powerful and much more professional. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!